the stories that have been making headlines this evening.
Before that first March of the year, the Minister for Finance will present the budget policy paper.
Givai to ask for 15 billion shillings for the next election.
The Labour Party has its doors open for now to bring in all the credible Kenyan men and women who want to work within our ideology.
Mudavadi to make a big announcement this week as we ask, is it the Labour Party? Kenya's Stanley BIWOTT wins the Paris Marathon. And on case files, a man kills his brother for having an affair with his wife. Good to have your company this Sunday evening. Kenya's next elections could cost up to 15 billion shillings, according to Finance Minister Njeru Githai. This will be by far the most expensive election in Kenya's history, given the new electoral and parliamentary system adopted under the new constitution. But that might not be the only shocker in the budget policy that is set to be released this Tuesday. Kenya's budget estimates for the next financial year could be far above the 1 trillion shilling mark, as Githai intends to ask for more money for the war on the Al-Shabaab, among other things. KTN's Edith Kimani kicks off our coverage tonight.
The Finance Minister and his team are already running late in the tabling of two crucial documents in the budget-making process, the Budget Policy Statement and the new budget proposal. The policy statement should have been tabled in Parliament 24 days ago, something Githai says was out of his hands.
When Parliament is not in session, the budget policy paper must be tabled before the House within the first 1 week. That first March, Parliament was on recess, so there was no way I could have been able to table the budget policy paper. It's ready. And I can assure you that on Tuesday, the 17th of April, I will table the budget policy paper.
In the past week, Githai has come under fire for this delay. The Budget Committee went as far as to accuse Treasury of trying to lock out Parliament from the crucial budget-making process. Their stand position is, however, informed by past experience. Githai's predecessor, Uhuru Kenyatta, disregarded this proposal last year, earning the wrath of the MPs.
We have not breached the law. We have no intention of breaching the law. On the contrary, I've given instructions that all deadlines must be met. All the deadlines laid down by the Constitution, they must be met.
Githai says he will be asking for up to 15 billion shillings for the general elections expected sometime between this December and March 2013.
We are also going to budget for the general election. It's an expensive exercise, which is going to consume almost between 10 and 15 billion shillings.
A section of legislators have already cautioned that if the presentation of the supplementary estimates is delayed, it may lead to the House rubber-stamping the expenditures already spent by government outside the 2-month period stipulated in the Constitution. Parliament and the Executive have appeared to find it difficult to adhere to the new budgeting timeline in the Constitution of Kenya adopted in 2010. Edith Kimani, KTN, Sunday Night.
To the politics, Deputy Prime Minister Musalia Mudavadi could be moving to a new party before the end of the week. Mudavadi has, of course, left ODM and will announce his next move, even as sources indicated that he has already decided on a party led by a politician from Western Kenya. Now, this news came even as an MP in New Fort Kenya party caused more confusion by announcing that Mudavadi is with them. KTN's Asha Mwilu with the details.
Sources say Musalia Mudavadi is set to make a big announcement this week, marking a breakup with ODM. Amid his highly publicized walkout from the Orange Party, the sources say Mudavadi's choices could boil down to just two parties, the Labour Party of Kenya and the New Fort Kenya.
Media has been
The Labour Party boss, Professor Julia Ojambo, is however non-committal as to whether she has been approached.
But I feel that Mudavadi is a leader in his own right, and he's got his own mind. I'm amazed because Mudavadi up to today is very quiet. He has not told anybody anything. And why should people go probing him? He will choose his party. Mudavadi is an educated and astute politician.
But the new Ford Kenya has thrown a spanner in the works again, hours after Eugene Wamalwa categorically denied any links with Mudavadi. Halwale says Mudavadi is actually with them.
I want to challenge whoever wrote that story to confirm from Honorable Mudavadi whether he has met Honorable Wamalwa, because it is not true.
I want to assure Honorable Prime Minister kwamba ikiwa ulishindwa kuangusha Kadwala hapa Ikoromani, sasa Kadwala hako kwa timu moja na Mudavadi, nitakukuweka chini.
And although the Labour Party has denied hints that it has been in talks with Mudavadi, LPK leader says ODM deputy leader is more than welcome to join her party.
The Labour Party has its doors open for now to bring in all the credible Kenyan men and women who want to work within our ideology, and that we have a system of making them enjoy their political life with us.
But Mudavadi is not the only prodigal son in quest for a new home. Deputy Prime Minister Uhuru Kenyatta is also said to have found a new party and may soon be announcing entry into a new alliance, already finalizing its registration with the Registrar of Political Parties. The two Deputy Prime Ministers' final decisions are expected to cause waves in the political arena as Kenyans await the determination of the election date. Ashamwilu, KTN, Sunday night.
Well, 3 of 4 big names have headlined Kenyan politics in the last few months, but have any of them really told the country what they stand for, even as another election year looms? Are we playing politics of personalities or selling policies for development? KTN's Catherine Omwanto now takes a look at how aspirants are handling their party manifestos and what's really in it for the Kenyan people.
While in most Western states the core issues discussed in an election year are intended policies of the candidates, in Kenya, however, aspirants spend more time attacking personalities. It is a time when one side of the political divide gang up against the other.
Sio vita na jamii, mimi vita yangu ni vita na mtu mmoja.
Anayemchukia Ruto na Uhuru ni adui wa Kenya wote, na sisi sote tutamkataa.
I would call it really theater of the absurd when it comes to political times, because it is difficult most of the times even to predict the character of politicians, though the almost obvious trajectory is that there will be so much mudslinging.
The competition now has quickly shifted to who has the best mix and the biggest names in their political outfit. Few Kenyans would be able to say the points of differences in ideology of the different parties.
We are actually carrying the flag for change. ODM is a party for change.
Although most of the parties usually have fairly detailed manifestos, the leaders almost never compete on the policies they are selling, and the voters rarely question what they are voting for, as long as they have decided whom they are voting for.
Wakenya mamilioni ambao hawana chakula, vijana mamilioni ambao hawana kazi, na ndugu zetu wengine wengi ambao hawajimudu. Hawa mabeste ambao tunashindana na wao, wawache mambo ya udikteta na kihimla, wawache njia ya mkato, wawache ujanja.
Kuna wengine akiamuka asubuhi pombe, akiamuka asubuhi bangi, akiamuka asubuhi anatafuta mahali ya kwenda kuiba. Ameiba mbuzi pale, ameiza kondoo pale, ameiba ardhi hapo, unajua kazi yao ni mahakama tu.
The people who attend these political rallies, including policymakers and other observers, should be keen and speak with and engage these politicians, these political parties, specifically on policy positions.
The flip side of the coin is whether the citizens of Kenya ever demand that the politicians explain what they're selling before deciding whom to vote for, and even after an election, whether the manifestos are adhered to.
If at all this is the position on matters policy and even legislative proposals that they have right now, what did they achieve in the past times that guarantees them and our trust as a people that when we give them the mandate of governance, then they will achieve this which they have now articulated?
The Political Parties Act was an attempt to streamline political parties and political campaigns, but Kenyans may have to wait a while longer for the contest and quality of campaigns to mature. Catherine Omwando, KTN Sunday Night.
Some unhappy news. 6 passengers died on the spot while 7 others sustained injuries after a matatu they were traveling in crashed into a lorry near the GSU Drift on Thika Road. The ill-fated 14-seater matatu, which is said to have been speeding, hit the lorry from the back before rolling. Well, according to one of the victims, a Form 4 student at Chania High School, Thika, the driver of the matatu was attempting to overtake the lorry when that accident occurred. 7 of the victims are admitted to the Raraka Uhai Neema Hospital, while others who sustained minor injuries have been treated and discharged.
Today we are opening tuition, so we were driving from Nairobi to Thika. Actually, it was really raining a lot. So I guess the driver was driving fast, and then in front of him there was a lorry. So I guess he thought the lorry was moving slow, so he wanted to overtake the lorry. Instead of overtaking, he just braked, got brake at once. So I guess the cars that were behind him zilikuwa zinamharakisha sana apite. So at the same time anapiga brake, anang'ang'ana ku overtake, akagonga hiyo lori nyuma, and then gari katoka kwa accident.
Tonight, there is outrage among Muslim leaders in Mombasa over the murder of a colleague who is facing terrorism and weapons charges. Samir Khan's body was found on Friday, badly mutilated in the Savo forest. His body was found hundreds of kilometers from where he and a friend were abducted on Tuesday as they traveled in a public service vehicle. Well, his friend is still missing. Now, a case against Samir that was ongoing until his death sought to probe whether he in fact was recruiting Kenyan youth to join the Al-Shabaab terror network. Muslim clerics are now demanding that the government make public the findings of its investigations. KTN's Betty Chalo reports.
Speaking to the press in Mombasa, the leaders criticized the kidnapping of the cleric Samir Khan, who was abducted last Tuesday by people armed with weapons as he was heading home at around 11 p.m.
Kwa vyombo vya usalama waweza kumlinda Mwingereza akatafutwa akafuatiliziwa mpaka ndani ya Somalia akaregeshwa, kisha Mkenya aliyoko ndani ya nchi yake watauawa na kwe hakuna jambo lolote litafanyika. Sidhani kwamba hiyo nitakuwa ni sawa.
Reports indicate that Samir was abducted together with a male friend known as Mohammed Kasim when a gang stopped the matatu they were traveling in Likoni, ordering the two out and bundling them into another vehicle.
He was terribly tortured and ultimately put to his death hundreds of kilometers away from where he was abducted, and nothing has been done.
Hatutaki ule uchunguzi wa kusema kwamba linachunguzwa hili jambo na lipotee katika kuchunguzwa, bali tunataka jawabu. Chini ya wiki 2 tulipata jawabu hili, na hatungoji waje watishiwe wengine au wengine nao wakosekane. Hatutaki hivyo.
The late Samir Khan was first charged in a Mombasa court in May 2010 with 5 charges of being in possession of firearms without a firearms certificate. He has also been previously linked to several terrorism cases in the country. The Muslim leaders have, however, maintained that the report on his death should be available within 2 weeks. For KTN Sunday Night, I'm Betty Kialo.
To some happy news now, and it was a harvest of marathon wins for Kenya in Paris today. 26-year-old Stanley BIWOTT registered a double in the city of Paris when he won this year's marathon to add on to the half marathon that he won earlier in the year. BIWOTT did not just win but also finished in a course record time of 2 hours, 5.11 minutes. Elsewhere, Francis BIWOTT won the Nagano Marathon in a course record of 2 hours, 9.05 minutes, while Henry Sugut was the king of the 29th edition of the Vienna City Marathon.
1 or 2 athletes being dropped from this group. Now we're getting to the business end.
The Kenyans boosted their image ahead of the Olympics, putting up a powerful show in Paris. This event is one of the major races Athletics Kenya will be monitoring keenly before it names the final London Olympics marathon team. Pace setters Kiprop and Philemon Limo did their best by defining the direction of this race. The competitors comprised Eric Ndiema, Richard Limo and Stanley BIWOTT, who was returning to Paris after winning the half marathon last month. Others were Ethiopia's Eshetu Wendimu, Tariku Jafar and Debebe. After the 15 kilometers mark, it was clear that the course record set by Vincent Kipruto was going to fall by the time the pace setters dropped off.
He needs to maintain this cadence, this rhythm, this drive.
And with 14 kilometers to go, it was Stanley BIWOTT's turn to lead Ethiopia's Raja Asefa and Sisei Jisa. By the 30th kilometers mark, BIWOTT was smelling victory. And as the race wore on, 19-year-old Eric Ndiema looked to challenge for second place, but the Ethiopian duo of Asefa and Jisa could not buckle up.
Asefa now trying to get into second place, and still Sisei Jisa hanging on.
Though BIWOTT slowed down with 2 kilometers to go, his lead was too much for the chasing pack to close in. And he crossed the line in 2 hours, 5.11 minutes, the 6th fastest time in the world this year.
The fastest time ever seen in Paris over the marathon distance. Stanley BIWOTT is the Paris Marathon champion with a new course record, 2:05.11. And he has absolutely nothing left.
Asefa was second ahead of compatriot Jisa, with Ndiema coming in fourth.
And Eric Ndiema, a very brave fourth place. The 19-year-old can be really proud of that performance. A fantastic first four for this Paris Marathon.
And in Nagano, Francis BIWOTT and runner-up Silas Sang brought down a double Olympic marathon medalist Eric Wainana's long-standing marathon course record of 2 hours, 10.17 minutes. BIWOTT set a new mark of 2 hours, 9.05 minutes, while Sang was 5 seconds back in a new personal best time of 2 hours, 9.10 minutes. The women's race was a slow affair, but winner Pauline Wangui finished in personal best time of 2 hours, 34 minutes and 22 seconds. Joshua Kimboy, KTN Sunday Night.
Well, it's time for Case Files, and tonight we explore the story of a man and his estranged wife. Now, the man killed his brother for allegedly having an affair with his wife. Never mind that the two were separated, that did not stop him from hunting her down and cutting her up with a machete. Well, she did survive, but her lover didn't. Here's the story with KTN's crime reporter, Dennis Onsirigo.
He walked for more than 7 kilometers to kill his wife, but instead, he killed an innocent man. The story of a man who accuses his brother of having an affair with his wife. The state versus Ayub Kibunge. This is Case Files.
Nani anaweza kusema si bibi yake, hata akiwa ameua? Bibi yake, akiwa mbaya ni bibi yake, akiwa mzuri ni bibi yake.
Ni ajabu kubwa sana mzee kama mimi nikiwacha Komboma bila mtoto wa kunipa hata maji ya kunywa. Nikienda kwa jirani huko, nikienda kwa moto na maji, watoto wale wengine wananitusi. Kina fulani uliwafunguza. Sasa wewe unakuja kupigana na sisi hapa kwa maji. Hiyo siku hiyo nitamaliza wiki moja nikiwa mimi si yakula kitu, kwa sababu naona mimi kama Mungu anisikii kwa maombi yangu. Nilizaa watoto na nikalea, badala ya nipe hata maji ya kunywa, ni mama yake wanasaidia, na mimi nikiwa nahangaika.
Since 1992, Ayub Kibunge has been a guest of the state
after a murder incident in Meru town left a man dead and a woman with near-fatal panga cuts. The homestead where he committed the murder has now been turned into a farmland. Ayub had married Grace Tirindi sometime back in 1987, but separated after what Ayub claims was several incidents of infidelity by his wife.
Hii mipango ni kupangiwa, mimi nilipangiwa. Kwa sababu ndugu yangu wakati nilifunguza hii bibi yangu alikuwa analala na yeye. Na akiwa analala na yeye, mimi ndio nilimwambia aende kwa baba yake 1994 aende, ndugu yangu naye aende akamchukue amrudishe kwake naye aonekane na watu kulika amvisage ni bibi yangu na ni bibi yangu na ni ndugu yangu.
The secret affair was not a secret anymore. According to Ayub, a father of 7, the two had to part ways at some point. Grace returned home to her parents while the husband Ayub remained home with his children. On the night of 3rd of September 1992, Isaac Mithimo and Grace were in a small grass-thatched house when a man wielding a machete came knocking. Grace went for the door, and upon opening it, she was slashed with a panga by a man she knew. Her screams attracted the attention of a young girl, Helen Gasheri. Helen was only 14 years old. When she ran towards where the screams were coming from, it was Ayub Kibonge she saw, fleeing with a blood-stained panga. Moments later, she realized Isaac had been killed and her aunt, Grace Tirindi, had escaped with panga cut wounds.
Ni mimi akaniambia mimi anaelezewa polisi hawa watu Kanyikina mwingine walikuja kwake saa 4 ya usiku na akawaelezea Grace ameuawa, na hiyo wakinielezea hiyo maneno haieleki kwa sababu polisi ndiye ananiambia haieleki kwangu, lakini kwa vile imefika saa hii mimi naona ni ili tukuja kwako hata mimi nishuhudie nikuone, na ndio tunakuja. Bibi yako ni maututi na inasemekana inaweza kuwa ni wewe.
That was the following day after the bizarre killing of the man whose presence in Grace Kirindi's house was not explained. Ayub was arrested for the murder of Isaac Mithimo and the serious injuries inflicted on his estranged wife, Grace Tirindi. The woman who at some point was the wife and mother of Ayub Kibunge's 7 children was among the first people to testify against Ayub Kibunge. Grace told the court, "I was lighting fire when Ayub walked into the house. He was wearing a blue shirt and brown trousers. I saw a panga in his right hand. He attacked me. As I tried to escape, he turned on Isaac Mithimo and killed him." The young Helen Gasheru was responding to distress calls coming from the touched grass hut, could later tell the court, "When I heard the screams, I ran towards the house and saw a man standing outside. In his right hand was a blood-stained machete. I called out his name. He briefly looked at me and then he fled. He was adorned in a blue shirt and brown trousers." That man, the prosecution says, was Ayub Kibonge. He was the man who killed an innocent man making out with his estranged wife. Ayub says his own brother, the very brother who had a secret affair with his wife, testified against him.
Anaulizwa na koti, hii mtu marehemu mko ukoo gani na yeye? Anasema hakuna ukoo, na bibi yangu alikuwa anasema ni mjomba wake.
But the motive behind the killing of the deceased was never clear. The clothes Ayub was wearing that night and the murder weapon were never presented before the court.
Polisi wakati walikuja walitafuta hiyo kisu na mimi na waonyesha ile nilikuwa ninaye kwa chamba, kwa sababu nilikuwa natoa ni chemu ile inawachwa kwa miti ya chamba wakati tinga inalima. Hiyo sasa wakachukua panga wakiwa wanaikataa, mpaka kauliza watoto, na hii kisu wa baba yenu ni gani? Watoto ndio walimwambia, ndio hiyo anakuonyesha. Kuna ilikuwa hapo, ilikuwa inakata ndizi ya watoto kale kabupe. Kwa hivyo alikuwa anakakataa, lakini ile yangu ndiye akaichukua.
The police officer who investigated the murder incident also failed to show up in court.
Na walikuwa na haka katoto kanaitwa Gasheri, na huyo mwingine nikaulizwa nguo ile uliokuwa naye jana ni gani? Nikamwambia ndio yuko kumwili. Nguo, viatu, vile nilikuwa mimi kwa shamba, nilikuwa nasinda naye kwa shamba. Tulikuwa tunalima na tinka.
The trial judge, however, ruled nobody testified saying the accused cut the deceased, but there is evidence he walked into Tirindi's house armed with a panga. He proceeded to cut her, and there was only one other person in the house, Isaac Mithimo, the deceased. The evidence only leads to one presumption, that it was the accused who murdered the deceased.
Sikuua mtu. Mimi ni kusindikizwa, ni ili bibi yangu arudi, kwa sababu mimi nilikuwa namfunguza.
Ayub maintains he never killed. The courts insist he is the man with blood in his hands.
Your favorite TV crime series, Case Files, takes a break. We'll be back shortly.
Benson Sarigo for Case Files.
We're also taking a break here on KTN Sunday night, but when we return, tuned to perform, motoring segment AUTOWORLD makes a return to your screen.
Breweries Limited, leaders in quality, the home of quality, truly Kenyan.
Should have got a Solitech. Look for a Solitech at your local store. Solitech, the power to protect.
Maximum Hydration Body Lotion for Men delivers intense nourishment with no sticky feeling while providing 24 hours plus moisturization for skin prone to dryness. New Nivea for Men Maximum Hydration Body Lotion, the perfect defense for dry skin. Nivea for Men, what men want.
Here at Viceroy, we never stop passionately crafting our barrels and maturing our brandy the traditional way. So you can keep on enjoying it.
That may be good enough for these germs, but germs are getting tougher. You need advanced protection. Lifebuoy Advanced Lifebuoy gives protection against 10 infection-causing germs. 10 infection-causing germs. 1 advanced protection. Lifebuoy.
Welcome back. You are still watching KTN Sunday Night. North Kenya leader Martha Karua has called on the church leaders to remember the internally displaced persons even as they pray for the 4 Kenyans facing charges at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. Speaking as she attended a Sunday service at St. James Anglican Church, Kiambu, Martha Karua said that as much as Kenyans may sympathize with their leaders facing charges at the ICC, people should let the court process take its own course as everyone is equal before the law.
My take is that we must remember even the IDPs are our people, and therefore we must balance. No problem for anyone so wishing to pray for the ICC for, but remember also to pray for the IDPs.
Well, it's time for our feature of the day, and tonight it focuses on a project that seeks to change the lives of school-going children from humble backgrounds. The entire plan is to help them to choose careers they ordinarily wouldn't have gone for.
Cutting pictures of someone you want to be in life, that is what Class 8 students at Mutate Primary School in Molowa are up to. Pictures of prominent and distinguished individuals, including professionals in their careers. They are full of choices of what these students want to be in future, and they are full of hope of shaping the Kenyan future society, the perfect careers of choice. However, to make that leap in life becomes difficult to a majority of youths who come from poverty-stricken families, and some who have lived in regions where tribal violence has been the norm.
They must take ownership for the Kenyan brand. The Kenyan brand should never be associated with violence. Shule kama hii unakuta mwalimu zamani unasikia na complain kumetokea kisa kimoja au kingine, lakini kwa sasa mambo kama yale yametulia. Wasasi wameanza kuelewa jinsi ya kukaa pamoja.
The dream paper.
The youth can have a dream. Usually the older people just think past already.
A project that began early this year now targets to mentor and empower youth from Rift Valley, where different communities reside and always bear the brunt of conflict. Chando Duncan is a University of Nairobi student, a volunteer with Global Youth Peace Corps, a youth organization.
Once you have that, you have that in mind and you have it as a paper, you normally look at it every single day and you know that this is what I want to be, this is where I want to become.
The project targets youths from various communities studying in the same primary school to oversee beyond violence and make proper priorities in life. A paper of ambition to be someone who can foster peace through the eyes of the youth.
Even we teachers, we are being challenged with these people. Where the moment you enter into the classrooms, they are able to reflect what they have been taught by the youth from GPOIS.
And here is Martin Joroge. He is busy cutting pictures of people he dreams to be like in the future.
Ningetaka kuwa mwanajeshi ili nilinde nchi yetu na niwe nawarida watu wetu.
At 16, he is in class 8 now. He clearly knows the environment he has lived for years has shaped his thinking, especially on conflict and violence.
Amani mzuri kwa sababu watu wanaweza kaa bila, yani kama hana tatizo lolote, na inawezekana wawe yani wanafanya biashara zao kwa upana. Unajua sasa watu wanaogopa ili ati wakiwa na biashara kubwa hivi itakuja yote ichomwe na mali yao yote iharibiwe.
Hatutarajii isipokuwa kuna wengine wachache ambao unaona kama wanauoga, lakini naona kwa wingi watu wako na amani na wanatarajia tuwe na uchaguzi ambao wenye amani. Maana samani kama wakati huu tulikuwa tunaona wengine wameanza kuhama, unaona wengine wanaanza kuondoa mali yao, na kwa sasa mnaona watu wanaendelea kuja kuliko kuondoka.
Despite his ambitions to join the military, his desire will ensure he keeps fit due to the vigorous exercises.
Na mwili wangu utakuwa yani fresh, yani utakuwa flexible.
Assisting the students of class 8, are students studying in various universities across the country. According to the principal of Mutate Primary School, Paul Njenga, to foster peace among students, they have come up with communication skills that involve communicating in two main languages in Kenya, that is Swahili and English. And now they are becoming ambassadors who not only represent their school, but also in the communities they live in to foster peace. Zipporah Karani, KTN, reporting from the county of Nakuru.
Fantastic, and good luck to the students. It's time for Money and Power. He overcame a tough childhood growing up in the harsh pastoralist Wajir County to become a multi-millionaire. He says his passion is giving others an opportunity to make something out of their lives. On KTN's Money and Power tonight, Bonnie Tunya introduces you to the self-made industry captain who never set foot in a secondary school but now holds a master's degree. Meet mentor and visionary Hassan Bashir, the Chief Executive Officer of TAKAFUL'S Insurance.
They say you cannot put a good man down. This phrase clearly describes the life of one Hassan Bashir, a man whose sense of wealth comes from creating opportunities for others through his multi-million business empire. Born in 1965 in Wajir County, Hassan Bashir had a tough childhood that involved constant movement in keeping to his pastoralist culture. Perhaps the reason why now, as a businessman, he opted to put his money in the insurance industry, seemingly searching for a sense of security.
I formed it. I was part of the team that formed it. But I joined the idea much before the company was formed. I started working on the idea in 2002. And in 1997, I came into the insurance sector.
In 1997, Bashir joined the insurance industry as a young professional and for the next 5 years worked in the conventional insurance industry.
And in 2002, I decided that I will work on this model and bring insurance that is fundamentally based on ethical grounds to the Kenyan market. And it took quite a while, as you can see, from 2002 to 2011 when we got the license. In between, I worked for other companies.
And so it was in the year 2002 that TAKAFUL'S Insurance was born in the Kenyan market. TAKAFUL is a Sharia-based insurance practice that is founded on the teachings of the Muslim faith, having been already practiced in other countries, mostly in the East Asia, United Arab Emirates and North Africa, in one form or the other.
The Kenyan regulator was the first one to study the model and license a company. And we think that will be followed suit by quite a number of other companies in East and Central Africa. I started with one clerk, a Form 4 clerical staff, and I was sitting on that side of the table and he was sitting here. And that's how we started. And from 1997 to by 98, I employed 7-8 people. By 2000, I had about 10 people. By 2002, we employed 16 people. So it's really incremental effort.
Having such a humble start at business, looking at TAKAFUL'S Insurance, you may be fooled to think that it is the brightest feather in Bashir's cap. In between 1997 and 2002, when he finally got the license to start TAKAFUL'S Insurance, Bashir worked for and with other companies. One he's excited about is Soliton Telmec, an internet infrastructure company he founded.
Largely, you can say between 2002 and now, beginning with Soliton Telmec, I've co-started and helped run about 8 companies, all of which are, employing Kenyans.
For a man who has invested widely in unrelated industries, I was curious to find out what his academic background is about.
My bachelor was Bachelor of Science in International Business Administration. My master's was MBA Marketing.
Where was that?
Both of them at USIU. I am on the PhD at University of Nairobi in management, global management.
Having gotten honors in both his bachelor's and master's degrees, Bashir's academic history makes a perfect script for your ordinary go-getter. It is, however, interesting to know that Bashir never set foot in a secondary school.
Actually did not go to high school completely. Never went to secondary class.
Wow.
Did the independent exam in 1991, okay, and went to USIU and did first degree and second degree, both of them honors, and went on to teach and registered for PhD.
Bashir considers himself lucky to have had a chance to go back to high school. However, it is during these years that he says shaped his business acumen, and he engaged in all manner of jobs in a bid to raise tuition fees.
During those years I was absent. I worked in everything that you can imagine. I worked in construction, I worked in restaurants, I worked in transport, I worked on lorries, I did anything that...
So basically what you're working for was upkeep for your stay and probably paying for exams?
Well, that, but also with the desire inside me that I wanted to go ahead and do high school exams and go to university and do well in life.
Bashir also dabbled as a business lecturer at his former university, and for a man of many fasts, one wonders where he gets courage to do all this. And even Bashir himself does not know.
I don't know. I don't have the slightest idea. I do what I think is right.
TAKAFUL Insurance is currently worth 600 million shillings. Soliton Telmec is worth 10 billion shillings in total assets and employs 2,000 people directly and indirectly, with a presence in 5 countries. Amongst many other of Bashir's investments, yet his view of wealth is all too modest, philosophical even.
I feel wealthy when I look at the fact that I am an employer. I employ 1 more Kenyan, 2 more Kenyans, 3 more Kenyans, 400, 500 Kenyans. I feel wealthy. I don't calculate wealth in terms of the number of shillings in my account.
The shrewd businessman's face brightens when I ask him about his family. Bashir is persuaded that the true mark of success is when one not only provides but also spends time with their family.
I have 4 children, 3 daughters and a son. And I am there. Try to pick them from school at least once a week, if not 2 days a week. Take them to school many times in the morning myself. Find the time during the weekends to play with them, do homework with them, and so on.
With a heart as huge as his wealth, Bashir serves in numerous advisory roles in a number of corporations, runs non-governmental organizations like Baobab Foundation, is involved in mentorship and student research programs, as well as paying for school fees for 40 needy students. Despite having worked hard most of their lives, most people have a well-laid-down retirement plan. But as for Bashir,
Kenya is too needy for anyone to retire. Yes. In any case, I am not holding a job. I intend not to hold a job that a young Kenyan can do.
Hassan Bashir is a visionary, a man who is eager to successfully complete a project and start another one. He also believes that it is too expensive to retire in Kenya. For KTN Money and Power, I'm Boni Tunya in Nairobi.
And another edition of Money and Power returns next week. Now, you may have noticed them on the road, maybe because of their flashy nature or the monstrous sound that they leave behind as they speed off. KTN's Betty Chalo brings back the premier motoring segment, Auto World.
Welcome to Kenya's premium motoring segment, Auto World. Well, in this first episode, we take a look at high-performance cars. I'm talking about cars which came in stock form, or if you like, with the manufacturer's specs, but later on, after tuning, they became high-octane performers. And of course, we'll be taking a look at that when we take them on the road. They can deceive you with their flashy and distinguished looks from a distance, but it's a different story altogether when you come closer. Some call them beasts or daredevils that gobble miles in a matter of seconds and make going to Mombasa from Nairobi look like a drive through town. Today it's all about high-octane performance in our first episode of Auto World this year. But before you get too excited, you might want to know the cars being profiled today were once ordinary cars running on petrol, an engine, 4 tires and a seat inside. Amir Mohammed is the car enthusiast behind this, and so he picked a Sunday morning to show me how fast these machines can go. The cars defied the hyperbolic law of sound, and the result was dramatic. It is like a volcano under the bonnet, but inside it feels like it's running on cream and not the vulgarity of petrol. Gliding through the Mlolongo tarmac, I now understood why he chose a Sunday, a day with little traffic on the roads. What we have here is a Nissan GT-R, which was churning about 300 horsepower before, but after a boost in performance, it's now doing about 800 horsepower. Speed limit a whooping 320 kilometers per hour. The Subaru STI, a speed monster, was naturally doing 280 horsepower, but now after tuning, it's doing about 400 horsepower. Let's say the tough jargon. What is the secret of tuning?
They basically came as a stock form from the factory. Basically, you have stock wheels, standard tires, standard suspension. All we did is we increased the power substantially, and to match that, to maintain an overall balance, we upgraded the suspension, the braking, the tires, to kind of harness the extra power that we've put into it. We focus on basically getting the car to be the best it can be.
So, can any car be tuned?
To a certain degree. Each car has its tuning potential. Like a Vitz would have its own. You can kind of dress it up, the exterior, put in fancy wheels, nice paint job, and up to a certain extent, you can also increase the performance. Generally, with turbocharged cars, you have more of a ground to play with to increase the power substantially.
Taking the standard car and boosting its performance is one thing, but getting it on the road is another. And so, how safe are the high-performance cars?
With that substantial increase in horsepower, we try and make sure that we maintain balance. Like I said before, we upgrade brakes, we upgrade suspension to make sure the car is well planted on the road, stops well in time, way far from the norm, basically.
Each one of these cars has a story. When they came in, some were considered as pure junk in many homes. Some had outrageous colors, beat-up engines and even accident scrap. Others came as brand new shiny cars straight from the manufacturers. Their stories are more of a transformation, a before and after. But when life was breathed into them, they became showstoppers. Reese, a car fanatic who had his Mitsubishi tuned, says he's fallen in love with it even more ever since.
Basically, it was just a stock car. I took it to Amir, and it took some time, like a couple of months, and we brought it up to it became pretty quick. It became fast pretty quick.
You might be wondering what of the BMW series at the back. Well, this specific car still has the manufacturer's performance. However, it had its exterior played around with just to make it even more exotic. In a while, we were back at Amir's garage, and I was soon to learn that the GTR was just a start. A Toyota Supra, the Mitsubishi Evo 9, just to name a few, were tempting me to get into another review, which I must admit is a possibility in the coming installments of KTN's AUTOWORLD. But next Sunday on AUTOWORLD, it's all about defensive driving. Don't miss it. For KTN, I'm Betty Kiaro.
Time for us to take another break here on KTN Sunday Night. When we return, we've got all the sporting news, including has Dennis Oyech finally quit the national team? We've got the details right here. Keep it KTN.